Greetings everyone, Archimedes here, and welcome back to another brick-filled LEGO video. Today, we're going to be taking a look at my latest own creation, the Argo II. This model was inspired from Rick Riordan's mythological universe, and in particular, the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, and the Heroes of Olympus series. They're excellent books. If you want a fantasy, adventure, humor novel, I strongly advise you to check them out. Anyways, in the series, demigods, children of the Greek or Roman gods, go off on quests to save the day and kill monsters, and so on and so forth. In the second series, the Argo II is commissioned to lead a grand expedition across the Atlantic Ocean into the ancient lands, Greece and Rome in particular. So, they design a giant flying Greek trireme. And that, my friends, is what I built today. Here, my friends, is the celestial bronze warship, the Argo II. In the grand scheme of the model, you can see the sail, which has the Greek letter O, an omega, painted on it. Along the sides, there is a bank of oars and some shields. In the front lies a dragon figurehead. And in the back, just barely visible, you can see the dragon's tail. But let's take a slightly closer look at each of the individual pieces, shall we? First, let's take a look at Festus, the dragon figurehead. Now, as you can see, the head can rotate 90 degrees, has a set of ruby red eyes, and has a tongue of flame leaping from its mouth. The head can be tilted up and down on a set of hinges, and its mouth can open and close. Also, each of the eyebrows are posable, so you can rotate them to create various expressions. Finally, on the back of the head, a little panel flips back to reveal the control panel, since Festus is not alive, an automaton. Underneath, you can see the battering ram of the ship. Now, technically, the Argo II did not have a battering ram. If you look closely, some of the details I have included in this model are not completely book accurate, but just kind of seem to fit into the general scheme of the model. Please don't blame me for it. Also, the battering ram isn't that practical. The side of the ship reveals, as we saw before, a bank of oars, a set of shields, and windows along the side. Mounted on the deck, along the sides, are little ballistae, which can be used to repel enemy monsters, and can rotate in almost every direction. Here, in the stern of the ship, you can see the command center. But unlike a traditional ship, this is a state-of-the-art command center with a computer, an iPod, a DJ's record player scratcher thingy, that's the official term, and a massive throne with controls. I think my favorite overall element is the little dragon which I fit within the model. True, the figurehead is a dragon's head, but if you look closely, you notice that if the figurehead becomes the head of a dragon, the body of the ship becomes the body of the dragon, and finally, the stern becomes the tail. I kind of like the way it looks. It makes the ship look a little extra animalian. Now, let's take a look at the inside of the model. I designed the deck of the ship to be modular, so that it could be pulled off to reveal the insides of the ship. As you can see, the first room here is the mess hall. There's a table with 8 chairs for the 7 demigods and 1 protector in the crew. In one corner, there's a little shelf for supplies, perhaps to place the magical plates upon. In the book, the Argo's mess was painted magically with scenes on the walls that would represent images from Camp Half-Blood, where some of the demigods came from. Though I decided not to spend all my resources trying to place magical paintings on each of the walls, I did incorporate the motif with one small painting here and another, larger one, behind the head of the table. Next, we have the engine room, filled with tangles of wires and control panels. I had a lot of fun building it, just simply because it was sticking together what hoses I had. Here's another angle, showing the tangled mess of hoses and some control discs at the top. In the stern of the ship, we have the stables for Pegasi, magical flying horses. As you can see, there are two stalls, one here and one here. The bottom of the stables has a glass floor for easy entrance and exit of Pegasi. As you can see, the floor can lift up and drop down to allow the flying horses to enter. Finally, let me show off the minifigures I designed for this model, the 7 demigods of the Argo II. I have Percy Jackson with his sword and Aclysmus, and a cocky smile on his face, and Annabeth Chase with dagger and Daedalus's laptop. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a minifigure with storm gray eyes, but I had to do with what I had. Next, we have purple-shirted Jason Grace with his sword, and Piper McLean with fancy hair, ski jacket, knife catoptris for seeing into the future, and Horn of Plenty, a cornucopia. I have to admit, I had the most fun building Piper. It was kind of fun to try to build the cornucopia and find the right knife. Next, we have Hazel Levesque with her golden cavalry sword, and Frank Zhang with his bow. Finally, we have Leo Valdez with hammer, fire, and his tool belt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Argo II, and an excellent view of my kitchen to boot. Please don't look at that part. Anyways, that was the Argo II. I want to thank Rick Riordan for writing the Heroes of Olympus series and for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, without which I would have never made this model and would be a much sadder boy, forever wandering the world of literature trying to find something funny and fantasy. I also want to thank Annabeth. Well, while her name is not Annabeth, I think that the person I'm thinking of, who inspired me to make this model, should be the real-life counterpart of Annabeth Chase. I want to thank you for being there to talk about these books and for inspiring me to build this model. Thank you as always. Finally, everyone, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you did in fact like this video or my model, please comment, rate, or subscribe. If you didn't like this video, still, please comment and rate. And if you really want, still, please subscribe too. The point is, I want to hear what you, my valued viewer, have to say would make this channel different or better. In the words of the ever-quotable Leo Valdez, I try to avoid thinking. It interferes with being nuts. I totally agree. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you all farewell. My name is Arcimedes36, and I'll see you next Sunday.